Most people think intelligence is about showing how much you know, about being the sharpest voice in the room, the one with the facts, the wit, the clarity. But what if I told you that sometimes the greatest power lies in pretending you don't know? That there is a deep, almost invisible force in our world, used by the wisest thinkers, the most dangerous politicians, and the most underestimated people in history, that comes from the art of playing dumb. That's what Schopenhauer, the famously pessimistic philosopher, hinted at in one of his most overlooked lessons. He didn't say it outright, he rarely did, but buried in his reflections on human will, deception, and the nature of suffering is a strange and subtle idea. There is strength in appearing weak and advantage in appearing foolish. And today we're going to uncover why, in a world obsessed with looking smart, playing dumb might be the most intelligent thing you ever do. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a room full of people trying to outtalk each other. Everyone is trying to be the smartest, the loudest, the most convincing. And there's someone in the corner, quiet, nodding, barely saying a word. They smile at the right moments, ask a few simple questions, and let others speak. No one sees them as a threat. No one watches them too closely. But they're watching everyone. They're calculating. They're studying the power dynamics, the insecurities, the egos in the room. And when the right moment comes, they say one sentence, just one, that shifts the entire conversation. The room falls quiet. That's not luck, that's power. That's the power of strategic invisibility, a concept Schopenhauer would admire. Because Schopenhauer believed that most human interaction is driven not by reason or truth, but by the will, a blind, irrational, self-serving force. And once you understand that, you start to realize the smartest person in the room is usually the one who speaks last.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Here's where things get deep. Schopenhauer saw human beings as fundamentally irrational. We think we're logical, but we're not. What drives us is desire, need, will. We want to win. We want to be right. We want to dominate. And when we meet someone we think is less intelligent, we let our guard down. We feel superior. We stop defending ourselves. That's when we become vulnerable, not to their power, but to our own arrogance. That's the opening. That's the advantage. So when you play dumb, when you pretend you don't know what you actually do, you create a false sense of security in others. They reveal more. They show their hand. They underestimate you. And that's when you can see the truth of a situation more clearly than if you were trying to prove yourself. This isn't manipulation, it's awareness. Because if the world is driven by ego, then humility, real or performed, is a kind of intellectual camouflage. Now let's bring this to real life. Have you ever noticed how people with the most to prove often reveal the least? Or how the quietest person in a meeting often ends up being the one who actually makes the final decision? There's a reason behind that. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, power often hides. Schopenhauer believed that most people are too distracted by appearances to notice what's underneath. That's why playing dumb works, not as a form of deception, but as a form of philosophical discipline. It forces you to observe instead of react, to listen instead of speak, to absorb the world instead of trying to control it. And in doing so, you actually gain more control. Because now you're operating outside the predictable patterns of ego and assertion. You're moving like water, not like a hammer. And water, as we know, wears down even the strongest stone. So here's the deep question I want to leave you with for now. If you always present your full intelligence, your full skill, your full power, what do you leave in reserve? What do you keep sacred? What do you use when the situation gets truly dangerous or when the stakes are highest? Maybe, just maybe, wisdom isn't about always being the smartest person in the room. Maybe it's about knowing when to be and when not to be. Maybe Schopenhauer was right, that the world is not shaped by truth or logic, but by appearances, instincts, and hidden wills. And if that's true, then the smartest move isn't to play the game harder, it's to play it differently. quietly, patiently, invisibly, until the moment comes when the dumbest person in the room turns out to be the one who saw everything the whole time. How underestimation becomes the ultimate advantage. There is a strange kind of freedom in being underestimated. It disarms the people around you. It lowers their defenses. It gives you space to move, to think, to plan without interference. In a world obsessed with dominance, the underestimated individual becomes invisible to the predators. And that's exactly where power begins. Schopenhauer understood this deeply. He saw that society, in its blindness to subtlety, often overlooks the quiet observer. The loud, the flashy, the overtly ambitious, they draw all the attention. And in doing so, they expose themselves. But the one who plays dumb, that person watches. That person waits. And when the time comes, they strike, not with noise, but with precision, like a silent blade. Because when people underestimate you, they don't prepare for you. And that is not a disadvantage. That is your secret weapon. Think about how often we rush to correct people when they assume we're less capable. We feel insulted. We want to prove them wrong immediately. But what if you didn't? What if you let them believe it for a while? What if you allowed the illusion to grow just long enough for it to serve you? That's not weakness. That's higher order thinking. It's philosophical aikido, using someone else's momentum against them. Schopenhauer wrote that life is suffering, yes, but he also believed that wisdom is learning how to suffer well. And sometimes that means letting others think you're naive, so they reveal more than they should. You become the mirror into which their ego reflects itself unchecked. They talk too much. They reveal their true desires. They show you their strategy. And all the while you sit there smiling, nodding, asking just the right kind of question. Not to expose them now, but to remember, to wait. We see this pattern in nature too. The most dangerous animals are not the loudest. The lion roars, yes, but the snake says nothing. The owl watches in silence. The spider waits, unmoving. Nature respects stillness because stillness is not weakness, it's potential. Human beings, driven by ego and impulse, often miss this. They confuse noise with strength, motion with progress, attitude with power. But Schopenhauer's philosophy invites us to question this assumption. He asks us to consider a deeper form of strength, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself, the kind that doesn't react to every provocation, the kind that chooses invisibility, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Ask yourself, when was the last time you let someone underestimate you and used it to your advantage? And what would change in your life if you stopped trying to prove yourself every time someone doubted you? Here's the paradox. By playing dumb, you are not becoming less, you are becoming more. You are conserving energy. You are gathering data. You are mastering the art of timing. And when the moment is right, when the stakes are high and the room is watching the wrong person, you act. Not because you're impulsive, but because you planned for that precise moment. That is the silent blade. That is the hidden lesson in Schopenhauer's work. He knew that the world is not fair, that people will misjudge you, ignore you, overlook you. But instead of fighting that, he invites us to use it, to turn invisibility into strategy, underestimation into leverage, and silence into power. Because in the end, the sharpest minds don't always speak first. They speak last, just once, and then everything changes. Why mastery means knowing what not to reveal. There comes a point in every conversation, every negotiation, every relationship, where you must decide what to reveal and what to withhold. And that decision defines not only how others see you, but how much power you hold. Schopenhauer believed that self-mastery wasn't about accumulating knowledge, but about mastering how and when to express it. The greatest chess players don't reveal their strategy in the opening move. They lure, they mask, they wait. Mastery in life is the same. It's not about showing everyone how brilliant you are. It's about knowing that you don't need to, because the moment someone knows everything about you, you become predictable. And in a world governed by will, desire, and competition, predictability is weakness. The power of playing dumb is not just that others underestimate you, it's that they can never quite figure you out. There comes a point in every conversation, every negotiation, every relationship, where you must decide what to reveal and what to withhold. And that decision defines not only how others see you, but how much power you hold. Schopenhauer believed that self-mastery wasn't about accumulating knowledge, but about mastering how and when to express it. The greatest chess players don't reveal their strategy in the opening move. They lure, they mask, they wait. Mastery in life is the same. It's not about showing everyone how brilliant you are. It's about knowing that you don't need to, because the moment someone knows everything about you, you become predictable. And in a world governed by will, desire, and competition, predictability is weakness. The power of playing dumb is not just that others underestimate you, it's that they can never quite figure you out. We've been conditioned to believe that if we don't constantly prove ourselves, we'll be forgotten. That if we don't advertise our intelligence, our worth, our value, no one will notice us. But that belief is rooted in insecurity, not wisdom. The truth is, the most unforgettable people are not the ones who shout. They're the ones who remain silent at the right times. They're the ones who reveal just enough to intrigue, but never enough to be known completely. And that, ironically, makes them unforgettable. Because mystery is the space where power lies. Schopenhauer would argue that the more you reveal, the less you control. And the more you hold back, not out of fear, but out of clarity, the more influence you command. So ask yourself, what parts of you are sacred? What knowledge, what skills, what insights do you keep in reserve? Not for fear of losing them, but because you understand their value increases when hidden. So here we are at the end of this journey. And maybe now you see what Schopenhauer was really trying to teach us. That in a world ruled by impulse and ego, the one who plays dumb is not a fool, but an advanced player. That restraint is not weakness, it's wisdom. And that sometimes the most brilliant move is the one you don't make. Because real power doesn't need to prove itself. It waits, it watches. And when the moment is right, it changes everything quietly. So I leave you with this final question. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to be understood and started becoming undeniable?